the fact that our Congress has addressed this can be a real effective way to point this out to people. This is the science of geoengineer, also called chemtrails, and when you introduce the legislation that they're going after, the world government, even geoengineering conferences that have been going around in the country, and then again bring them back to the congressional hearings that have been held on this, I think it's just irrefutable for most people who have failed to look into this, and I think it's a very effective way to bring those people into questioning this and looking further. As a result of the film, we included some of the congressional hearings and some of the congressional papers on this, and I think it's been effective in reaching out to that audience.
You know, genetically modified organisms, GMOs, are basically kind of, I see the same way. One of the reasons that they started these programs, I believe, is because they couldn't patent organic seeds. Things that are natural, organic, you couldn't patent it. But once you create a seed, you know, then you can patent it, then you have control over it. This idea of owning the food and taking over this food supply and spreading basically poison. I mean, this GMO food causes liver, kidney, and heart failure, sterility within 3 generations, and that's just what they've begun to find. I mean, they're gonna, you know, the honest researchers, it's in their best interest to research it. So I'm sure people are out there researching, but it takes a while to actually get the data and the information. This aluminum resistant seed. So as of right now, you're saying that it's not officially right now on the market, that you found directly?
Well, certain crops are actually being planted with them, but again, Monsanto has not been connected yet. We believe that Monsanto will be connected. Time will tell. But again, this is a new patent, and it's ironic it came out around 2009 during the increase in the aerosol spraying that we see, and it's ironic that they came out during this decline that we see in our natural organic foods. So time will tell what this is used for. What these seed companies are stating, aluminum can be rich in soils such as Africa. So we do have aluminum rich soils. What they're saying is we've made this aluminum GMO seed for the purpose to feed hungry people in countries in Africa. Of course, the people behind these evil programs always have an excuse for what they do. Time will tell. We'll see if these are brought here into America in soils that now are toxified by this aluminum. My guess is yes, but time will tell.
What do you see happening in the next 10 years if people don't wake up and rise up and do something about this?
Well, we've already got the effect that these programs have had, not only on human health, but on ecology, is unquantifiable. I've spoken to Francis Mangels, who's a retired biologist who was in the film, and he simply does not know. What we do know is the forest is collapsing so quickly in Northern California and other areas around the United States and around the world where the spraying has been active. We simply don't know. We do know that aluminum-related illnesses, such as Alzheimer's, has increased in LA County by over 200% in 10 years. Respiratory mortality has gone from number 8 on the list of mortality down to number 3. That was in a 5-year period, folks. So we've seen profound changes, not only in human health, but also in ecology. So again, we simply do not know. Many people who are aware of this issue and have been studying it are deeply concerned that our natural systems might be completely destroyed. One thing I didn't point out was the shredding of the ozone layer. And geoengineers were very open about talking about these programs and how they shred the ozone layer. There was an interesting event that happened as of late in Napa Valley. The grapes had been getting burned, they have been getting singed, and that's believed to be a result of our ozone that is not only thinning but also shredding. So we simply don't know, but we know that it's not good. My concern is, again, for human health, ecology, and then our protective layer around the earth, and we hate to see this declining day by day, every day, that they're spraying these toxins into my environment, into your environment, into each and every one of our viewers' environments. These are crimes against nature and humanity, and they need to be stopped.
Now, recently we saw, in lots of parts of the United States, we saw massive amounts of birds pretty much just dropping out of the sky, entire cities full of these dead birds. Have you seen any direct link with geoengineering and you know, masses of flocks of animals or other types of things that live in our environment being affected?
Well, in theory, you know, many people believe that the birds were directly related to some scalar weaponry or else HARP, which is believed to have genetically specific weapons. So it could have been testing. In California, in the Los Angeles area, we had millions of fish wash up into a harbor. So millions of fish died. People believe that there is technology available, again, to target specific genetics and specific species and literally kill them. One thing we do know is that we're inhaling these particles and our bodies are becoming filled with them. Does that make us vulnerable to different frequencies? Does that make us vulnerable to different types of illness? Well, I think the answer to that is yes. So I, as well as many people, believe that there's a direct connection to the bird die-off, to the fish die-off. And let's not forget about each and every species on Earth. Up in Northern California and across the United States, across the world, they're seeing a die-off of the amphibians. The salmon run up in Northern California has just they have just 6% of the salmon that they had 7 years ago. So we have seen over a 94% decline in the fish. I went out into the ecosystem, into the streams with Francis Mangels, and we performed a test in the water, which he said about 8 years ago would reveal about 1,000 aquatic insects. That test that we did just last year produced 31. I said, Francis, what's going on? You know, what does this indicate? He said, well, the few fish that I catch now, he said, when I split them open and check their stomachs, he said there's nothing in them. He said several years ago when these insects were there, you would expect to find fish with these insects in their belly. He said, I said, well, what's going on? He said, the fish are literally starving to death. We do know that geoengineering programs greatly affect our streams, our rivers, and our lakes because, of course, these toxins that are being sprayed do go into that ecosystem. And I said, Francis, what has changed? He said, well, for one thing, water pH has changed, and he said the amount of aluminum, barium, strontium, and other toxins has gone up exponentially, several thousand percentage points just within the past 8 to 10 years.
Let's talk about the pH levels. It's so super easy to test for these pH levels. We swung by a feed store here in Pahoa Town and just picked one up. How much does a strip cost? How do you use it?
Sure.
And what benefits do people get from testing the pH in their water?
Well, I think testing the pH in the water is very important because we should have certain regions have normal pH levels. I would look up to find out what the pH levels were 15 years ago and then see if it's changing to an alkaline. What aluminum oxide does, it takes what is normally acidic and it will change it to alkaline. Northern California, the soils have changed between 12 to 18 times the normal alkalinity. Francis Mangels, biologist, again, has been testing the rainwater and it is changing into a more basic or a more alkaline water. What does that do? Well, it compromises the health of literally everything that requires a certain pH of the water. So it's deeply concerning. What people can do, there are test strips that are available. You can look at those online or even go to we're going to be testing the rain tonight, so hopefully we can get some results back. But you can just go to a fish store and collect rain, make sure it's in a sterile jar without a top on it. You want it to be very clean and in glass, and just test that pH and get back to Mike or get back to We Are Change, and we will get that reported on the Coalition Against Geoengineering website or other websites that have been reporting the testing that's been going on.
What other basic tests can people do to see their what levels their environmental toxicity is?
Well,